all around the world, each and every day, someone out there probably had an encounter that they felt like was a UFO or extraterrestrial. Some of those encounters seem to traumatize some people. From being abducted by aliens while you're driving down the highway, to your entire village getting attacked by laser beams, here are 10 scariest extraterrestrial encounters. But first, thanks for leaving us this comment, Tanner, on our Rare Historical Images video. Please let us know your insight on some of these extraterrestrial encounters, and maybe we'll feature you in an upcoming video. Number 10. Cahill. Imagine just driving down the road with your spouse and then getting abducted by terrifying extraterrestrials against your will. This is sort of what happened to Cahill and her husband while they were driving outside of Melbourne, Australia in 1993. They kind of had an unexpected encounter with what they think was an alien aircraft. First, they noticed lights moving around in sporadic movements. They thought it maybe was a shooting star at first, but then the light was right in front of them. They seemingly blacked out at this point, and they woke up back in their cars, smelling like vomit and feeling disoriented. Kelly had a surgical incision mark on her abdomen, and the doctor said she must have had some type of surgery on her uterus. Kelly began to have reoccurring nightmares of being abducted by aliens and having strange procedures performed on her on some kind of surgical table. During these nightmares, they were described as having fly-like eyes, which had a fiery red color, and they were 7 feet tall. They drove back to the road where the whole thing had happened, and they realized that the farmer had witnessed the whole event. Other witnesses who were there came forward and gave specific details, which surprisingly match everything from her nightmares. Number 9. Betty and Barney Hill. This next one takes place right here on US soil in the 1960s, and this seemingly ordinary couple were the next victims of a terrifying alien abduction. They really seemed like they had no reason to make up such a disturbing account. Betty observed a UFO flying around in the distance while they were driving. Barney believed it was a commercial flight, but after seeing its strange movements, they both agreed something wasn't right. The craft began to get closer and closer to the point where Barney had to stop the car. The flying saucer was right in front of them, blocking the road, and there was nothing they could do. They spotted anywhere from 8 to 12 humanoid-looking creatures also blocking the road. As they tried to turn around, the aliens disabled their car, and they blacked out again. Betty had some strange cut marks on her dress, and Barney had mysterious markings on his shoes. They reported the incident to the nearby Air Force station, who apparently also knew about strange movements in the skies, but they quickly retracted their statement only a few days later. Number 8. Alien implants. If you end up with a strange piece of metal inside you, it's possible you could have had a close encounter with a UFO. Throughout the centuries, we've heard stories about people being abducted by aliens and would never think it could happen to us. Some people have given detailed accounts, and many of the accounts have matched with precise amount of detail, even while they were giving testimonies in separate rooms. Would someone really be willing to implant something metallic into their body just for a fun hoax? A man named Daryl Sims, a former police officer, has collected clues to this mysterious phenomenon that seems quite shocking. People will find a random scar, and inside are often implants. He actually collects these alien-like devices. They've also been able to find things like subdermal fingerprints that can glow in the dark and can be removed with water, like we see in this photo. However, the objects removed seem to be quite intriguing. After analysis had been conducted, they could determine that this implant taken from someone's foot was actually comprised of the same materials as meteorites. Number 7. Travis Walton abduction. Travis Walton was working out his contract to clear trees on a secluded government area in Arizona alongside a few other workers. He would ultimately become another alien abduction victim. In front of his workers, a UFO came out of nowhere and struck Travis with a blue beam that all the workers witnessed. They got the heck out of the forest while Travis was left to be abducted. He remembers waking up on an operating table. The doctors were wearing surgical masks, but something just didn't seem right about their eyes. His testimonial is quite convincing, and we encourage you to take a look at it online after you watch this video. You feel as though he's just recalling memories, and it's not scripted. His friends went to the police, who were using bloodhounds to try to find him, but obviously, they didn't believe the story that their friend was abducted by aliens. Each man was put into a different room and given a lie detector test, which they all passed, and they all had the same story too. Although a lie detector might be faulty at times, all 7 people passing and having the same story is quite compelling. Luckily, he made it out and the search for him was over. Number 6. Falcon Lake Incident. Some believe that our government actually made a deal with UFOs. We agreed to let them abduct a certain amount of people on planet Earth to help them make advancements in genetic research. In exchange, we accepted a variety of technology that you see each and every day. It seems like a lot of abducting was going on during the 1960s. The Falcon Lake incident took place in a remote part of Canada. A prospector had noticed some strange shapes in the sky that looked like flying saucers. Stefan watched the sky and saw one of the 2 devices land just a few hundred feet away from him. He walked over there to see what was going on and just thought it was some kind of strange aircraft the Americans were testing out. He approached the door and took a look inside. Upon touching the craft, his rubber gloves quickly melted, and within a fraction of a second, the saucer closed its doors, trapping him inside. The craft flew away, and he was knocked out by a mysterious red mist that filled the room. He woke up back in the forest and immediately went to a doctor. This famous photo was captured of Stefan, which shows a very strange yet distinct pattern on his abdomen. Apparently, it's still scarred like that to this day. Number 5. Mori Island Incident. Just before the whole Roswell incident took place, another bizarre, mysterious encounter took place that has seemingly been forgotten about. A man who worked in a remote part of Washington state had been gathering logs like he usually did when he noticed 6 massive donut-shaped flying saucers moving their way through the sky. They were about 2,000 feet away from him, and he described them as being 100 feet in diameter with a central hole. The man named Harold Dahl noticed that the aircraft began flying much lower, and he thought it was about to crash. He heard a loud noise and noticed thousands of pounds of white metal material fall into the ground. Dahl didn't get abducted this time, but he took home some of the lightweight metallic material. Dahl told his manager the whole incident, and then when the manager didn't believe him, he showed him the site where the whole thing took place. The next day, Dahl was invited by some men in black to breakfast who instructed him not to say anything about it or something horrible will happen to him and his family. He couldn't hold it in any longer and told the press, who contacted 2 Air Force pilots who agreed that this was something from out of this world. The Air Force pilot's plane mysteriously crashed. Dahl kept quiet after that and was forced to recant any statement he made about seeing aliens. 2 weeks later, Roswell takes place. Coincidence? Number 4. The Brown Mountain Encounters. What if we were to tell you that there's a mountain in North Carolina where hikers don't make it back, and it's not from bear attacks or wild bloodthirsty deer? Oh no, you guessed it, aliens. Many people have reported seeing what's known as the Brown Mountain Lights, and there's not a single explanation for it, except for, well, you know. Anyways, people have been getting lost here ever since the Cherokee tribes began telling legends around 1200 AD. One story goes that a person went missing here while hunting, and when a search party got sent to look for him, they went missing too. Other stories have been told about a young woman wandering off into the woods to see what the light was, and not only did she go missing, but everyone who looked for it went missing as well. Many people have claimed to see the light, and there is some footage of it out there as well. What could the people who disappeared possibly know about this place, and is it a case of alien abduction? Number 3. Shane Showbar Encounter. A hotel manager by the name of Shane Showbar, as well as a security guard of the hotel, began to discuss a sighting of a UFO. They claimed that it was triangular and was soaring over the skies of Niagara Falls, New York. Showbar had discussed the sighting on the internet, which almost seemed like it crossed the line apparently. This photo here was captured of 2 men wearing black walking into the hotel lobby looking for Showbar and the hotel security. They were on a break at the time and they didn't find Showbar. They were acting extremely mysterious. They show up with very pale skin, had no eyelashes, no eyebrows, large blue eyes, wearing trench coats and fedora hats. Witnesses claim that the hats looked like they were attached to wigs, and they noticed that not one of them had blinked the entire time. Many claim that these men in black were actually aliens who made a poor attempt in disguising the fact that they weren't human. If this is the case, then just about everyone that day at the Sheraton Inn had an extraterrestrial encounter. Number 2. Operation Proto. Could aliens have actually attacked Earthlings before with their space lasers? The Brazilian government conducted what was known as Operation Proto, which was an investigation carried out between 1977 and 1978. A large number of UFOs were spotted near the city of Colares, where locals claimed that scars on their bodies were coming from lights in the sky. These beams were used to suck blood from over 400 people, and even the mayor Jose Soriero requested help from the Air Force. After the incident took place, the investigation closed 4 months after until the Air Force didn't witness anything suspicious. However, it's still uncertain if the Air Force didn't see anything and didn't want to come forward about it officially. A few decades later, one captain came forward about what he saw in the town, and the circumstances of his death 3 months later were quite suspicious. Many of the military personnel suffered severe mental breakdowns during the investigation and went completely insane. Maybe they just couldn't handle the truth. And number 1. Google Earth Alien Abductions. A man named John Mooner was ridiculed by his family and friends after he stated that he was abducted by aliens. He didn't have any proof to show them until Google Earth released some very strange images. Google Earth has been known to catch a lot of strange things on camera, but this one has to take the cake. You can probably prove it a little bit easier when he shows them these strange images of what looks like some type of metallic floating object going over his house. He even claims that if you zoom in close enough, you can see him actually punching a gray alien. We're sure it sounds far-fetched, but those mysterious orbs of light have to be something, right? His testimony seemed to be quite congruent in other cases of alien abduction.